Hey guys, Reef Noob here. I want to show you real quick on my GFO and carbon reactor, my little setup that I have from bulk Reef Supply. At first, when I was looking into it, it's kind of funny that when you start a new tank or aquarium that you don't really think of everything that you might need. And the one thing that was like, you know something? I don't know why I didn't think about it at first, but I needed carbon. Like you want to have your water crystal clear to help out with the lighting. And also have it keep from smelling kind of funky. Yeah, you need carbon, and I really didn't think of that. I had the tank ready going, and 2 weeks into it, I'm like, oh my god, I need carbon. So I actually bought a carbon bag and had it just sitting in my sump temporarily as I looked into doing a reactor. I am very limited in my sump. It's like I'm living in a New York apartment kind of way. I never lived in one, but kind of the story is that you pretty much live in a closet. So pretty much that's how my cabinet and sump area is. I'm living in a New York apartment, or maybe a downtown apartment in Boston. But anyways, I first started off with the mini reactor because saying, hey, I have limited space here, so I started with a mini reactor. I got the pump that came with it, which is the MJ1200, and it's part of their whole entire, I guess, reactor setup. And I started out with looking into running carbon, and then I had a algae to help out with some of the phosphates. I wanted to run GFO, so I'd actually run a GFO carbon mix in there. But I was reading on the dosing for this amount of the size of my tank. I needed about just under a cup for the carbon. And I needed about probably, I think it was 0.86 of a cup for the GFO, and I couldn't run. So basically, I was running kind of adequately for it. So I wanted to get more of use out of my GFO, and I just tried running GFO here and maybe get like another mini and just do carbon. But when I actually put the right amount of GFO in it, as you see here, the level. This is the adequate amount of GFO I need to have in my tank for my system, and for it to actually, basically tumble correctly. It pretty much came to the surface here, and it wasn't able to tumble. I would have to cut the amount in half again, which I did temporarily. I just ran GFO in the mini for a short time, and excuse me, and just did it from that until I got the new one, which was the full reactor. And I got the full reactor. And so I added GFO here. It's basically, I'm limited by space, I'm limited to my sump area, so I couldn't run 2 pumps, so I had to have it come off of 1 pump. And so basically I kind of did a dual reactor mix. Looked at some of the dual reactors that they have on, I could have done that way, but again, budget. And also I didn't want to waste my money, again, purchasing 2 new reactors and selling these things here. I might do that maybe in the future, but for right now, the setup I have right now is pretty much adequate. I am going to make some more adjustments to the plumbing, but right now I have the pump down into my sump where my protein skimmer is. I have the bar adjustment or valve adjustment here to basically control the tumbling so it's not full flow. I did add the, I think bulk resupply video said not to do the foam in there because it will clog up maybe after a while, but I still ran it just basically so I didn't have some of the specs, and it does capture it. If you ever want to have it release, all you do is basically you turn it off and some of the particles will fall down. But also I was like, how am I going to basically run it from this to the mini? I'm like, do I have to buy like maybe 2 more L-shaped clamps or adapters and kind of do like a U? But then I was like, wait a minute, my mini, as I put it in here, I was like, and I kind of looked at it, my mini is small compared to this. So I just basically ran the return line into my intake. And it was actually perfect for this type of setup. So it actually works out pretty good. The only thing about it is that the return line is all the way over here. So I wanted to run it into my my filter socks to basically help capture any fines that might come out of it. So when I clean through my filter socks, I can get rid of them. But it's the best I could do. Like I said, the way my setup of my sump is right now, it fits my needs. So I didn't cut one of the lines that came with it on the return, and basically just ran it about my tank. You see it there in the back, and it's going right back into my sock area. It's the best I can do. I might do some adjustments to where I basically do a T-shaped valve here, so I can run this directly, so I can still get the full head pressure here and run it the same amount through here, through my carbon reactor. So I am thinking of doing that, put a T-shape here, another L shape here, and run it up, and have this return, which basically I want to have 2 return lines going somewhere. That's the only downside to that. Basically have more spider web of plumbing in here. I don't know if there's any ideas out there you guys can possibly give me. But I think right now this is pretty adequate enough. It does give me still adequate flow. The flow overall, it's just pretty much good after it goes through the GFO and hits the carbon. And also too, so I can get the most out of my GFO, because the GFO does last longer. It probably averages about 4 to 6 weeks. Probably after my first initial one here will probably last me about, I plan to change it after a month. And after that, I might change it kind of in the middle, between 5 weeks. And my carbon's once every 2 weeks. So every single time I do a water change, I change out my carbon. So I'm doing now every 2 weeks. Because my water parameters are pretty much stable now, just do it just to kind of get move the detritus that possibly is deep within the sand bed. That's really all I do the water changes for, and also replenish some of the nutrients. As you guys know already, that I'm updosing to possibly get some LPS corals in here. And but overall, that's kind of what I run. I've mixed reviews on the both resupply. Majority of them good. Just 1 or 2 people that got bad. Maybe they didn't do with the plumbing. The best thing I do with these quick release plumbing. Once you get a knowing of how to use them, at first I didn't know how to use them, like detach them. You have to pull this little thing, make sure that you pull it up, and then you can push it down and remove the whole piece up. And you gotta make sure that you basically push it in. If you don't push this guy in all the way to where this is like kind of flat on both sides, you're not gonna, like here, up here, this is not really flat, but it's kind of pushing out, and that's because it's not really the weight of the plumbing, but I made sure this line was completely in. And as you see, I have no leaks within the whole entire plumbing system that I have here. None. I've never had a leak, because I made sure when I put those suckers in, they went in. And I basically pushed them in and basically pulled them, kind of give them a jug out without pushing this or touching this. So basically just make sure they go all the way in, and then kind of give them a tug out, and that kind of locks it in place more. And as you see there, I mean, I always had a fear of, like, as soon as I set it up, that I turn it on, I'm gonna have a leak, I'm freaking out, and you gotta turn it off and then basically correct the plumbing. But I haven't had a plumbing issue yet, so both resupply guys, awesome. They have a lot of good products out there. I always do comparison between Marine Depot and saltwateraquarium.com. You know, all of them offer their own pricings and comparisons and different type products, and they all do price matching between each other, so it doesn't really matter where you get it. Just finding a better deal for you. But these reactors from both resupply, definitely good for the money. They're quality, they're strong, they have hard plastic. Some of the other type of reactors is kind of a thin plastic. People that run, and they also have another canister inside of it, which is awesome too, because it makes it easier to change out, clean, and everything. As you see here, I do get some fines that kind of break through, and they actually do collect on the bottom of my Mini. I actually can see them there. So I'm pretty sure there's some of GFO that gets stuck up there. But as long as it doesn't clog and it still comes out fine, as long as I still see this move, I'm still good to go. But there you go, guys. There's the GFO reactors from both resupply, both the Mini and full reactor. Again, if you have any questions, please ask me below. I will provide a link to Bulk Resupply where I got these reactors. Again, they come with the pump, optional pump or not. When I did, one thing to put out, when I actually did ask Bulk Resupply about running 2 minis with the GFO, they kind of saw with the amount of, they did tell me in my question to them, you actually can see the question because they respond to it on the site, and they didn't recommend me running 2 minis with the GFO because they had the GF, which is one of the reasons why I did a full, was because the GFO with the tumbling was at risk of hitting the top surface of it of the mini reactor, and there is like a little type of plastic grate there, and the GFO was at risk of being clogged up in there, and basically you wouldn't have flow. So they recommended me not to run a GFO sole GFO mix off of a mini unless I have a really small tank, like a micro, like 20 gallon or something like that. Then you possibly could get away with it, but for the size of my tank, it wasn't recommended for that reason, which is one of the reasons why I got a normal reactor, which is still adequate size. It's kind of filling. It's basically, I have maybe about an inch or inch and a half up there, maybe 2 inches, before it hits the roof of my the bottom or the top of my cabinet. So there you go, guys. Check out my videos, subscribe. I am doing a giveaway at 100 subscribers. See if we can get that far. I'm pretty sure we can. And just like, comment, and subscribe. Talk to you guys later, and let me know if you guys want me to do any other videos.